Yo, what's going on? Welcome to Walk It Like I Talk It, better known as Walkie Talk-iT, and I got my girl Jigga with me. What's happening, Jigga?
Yo, what's good? You know, doing good. It's your girl Jigga. You already know how I figure. Straight out the O. How you doing over there?
Man, everything is good. Yo, it actually feels good to be in Orlando, you know, being a Miami native. What's happening out here in OT?
You know, we got everything popping this class of weekend, so you already know the vibes, the clubs, lists, parties. We banging out here.
Oh, yo, let me tell you, it's been a crazy weekend out here. I mean, the classic weekend has been phenomenal. I can't even get my words right, but it's been phenomenal in the aspect that you've been seeing some of everything.
Ooh, you ain't lying. Every little thing.
Everything, girl. I mean, like, the women are beautiful. Some, you know, I mean, yeah, some is quite revealing, but you know what I'm saying? That's why you see some of everything. But, like, what do you feel like this classic weekend does for Orlando each time, you know, every year that FAMU plays Bethune? Because you're a Bethune.
Hell, Wildcats, you know the vibes. So to get into it, really what it is for Orlando, it's a cultural thing. What it does is brings a lot of unity within the community and people outside to come together, and this is time we can let loose. This is the one weekend where you can do whatever you want when there's no one to judge you. You could be in the streets blasting your music on an everyday basis. When you do that, you'll get in trouble for it. But on classic weekend, it's all a go.
Yo, and that's the absolute truth, because while I was out there, the slingshots, one truck had a party of at least 1,000 people going in the parking lot. And the police they was with it.
That's the thing. They with everything. That's why I said everything is a go when it comes to class weekend. It's a great experience. I tell anybody, you know, that hasn't experienced it yet, I say come check it out. It's definitely something to do for the weekend.
But I want to talk about, like, out of this weekend, I've seen so much because, yo, real nigga Boogie drop. Shout out to my man Case 100 for not on, and Ball Greasy and Buster Free and DJ Nasty from 99 Jams for this banging single that's basically just going everywhere. Cars going up and down the street in Orlando. All you hear is watch a real nigga boogie. You know. So it's been live. The love's been real out here, and but I want to talk about, like, last night at the club. It was like everything was good until one moment. And the moment seemed like when it came to, like, turnover or pass the mic, what we call it, you know? It seemed like we went from a very high moment where everybody was rocking and to just straight, you know, where people were leaving, you know what I mean? And so I was kind of feeling bad because I'm wondering, where's the disconnect? Like, where's the disconnect? If it's truly about the art and it's truly about, like, if you vibing with this music, like, you really bumping it. We outside in the streets, we hearing it, but then if the artists take the stage, you know, where's the disconnect between listening to the music and coming to see the artist and vibing with the artist? Where's the disconnect in today's society? Like, with generational music. And, you know what I mean? Where's the disconnect? Because when you listen to a song like Boogie, it's not your traditional trap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in the club last night, what I noticed was when it switched over to that back in the day type music with anybody want to die, you know, come see me. You know, the club was with it for a minute, but they kind of not with that wave or that vibe no more. So I'm trying to find out, like, with this happening and this being a relevant artist, where's the disconnect?
For me, I'll say nowadays within my generation, it's more so about the dance now. It's not so much about what you're saying. It's more so, can this make me dance? Is this something I could put on TikTok? Is this something I could dance with? That's where, like, majority of my generation hears music now. We're not listening to what you're saying. We listen to how it sounds. Your beat, is the beat kicking? And can I move to this? Like, if it's lyricists, we not too much in tune with it anymore because we can't do much with it within what's going on in our generation.
But now the question is like, now that's powerful in its sense, because it poses the question of, okay, if you say we just want to dance, we want to dance. Now, you could be a lyricist, you could be a great artist that could paint a picture, but for right now, we just want to dance.
That's all we want to do right now. Just dance.
So Okay, now does that take away like from like how does that take away from the art, or better yet, makes it harder on the artist to try to create now? Because if they're creating music from out of their soul, or if you're creating music, most artists are, they're creating out of their pain. The best music really comes from the pain or the love loss or the loss of someone or the beef and the tension, So with all that being said, like, where's the connection between making real music or real art and
And still trying to get the
look
party
why
going.
you book, look why you book? You know what I'm saying? Where's the disconnect?
Okay, so when it comes to those two different things, like you said, it is powerful in order to make music off of pain, because that is relevant to a lot of people when we're going through relatable issues in our lives. It is something good to listen to because it'll pass through what you feel because you can relate to that artist. But it's one of those things where it's like, now, since we do just want to dance, it is kind of hard for the artist now, because you don't want to demand your art. Like, you don't want to have to stoop down low in order to get people to want to listen to you. You want to still stay true to yourself and what you want to do. What I say for most artists, it'll just be continue doing what you want to do. Like, if you want to be one of those, you want to pull from your soul and you want people to really get in tune to what you're doing, I say that's still something to do. You just, if you're looking for it in an aspect where, like, hey, I do want to maneuver over into this younger generation now, it will be one of those moments, like at least one or two songs you can push out that dancing music and still be loved by the other music that you produce, because it's not everybody that just wants to dance. Like me, sometimes I do want to kick back and I want to listen to something that I can relate to, but in my majority of my moments, I do kind of want to kick it because it's fun now. Back then, you were more so jamming to the fact that you were in pain. Now it's more so like I can be free now. When you're dancing, you're free, so you're happy now. Everybody, it gets in tune. So
All right, so I hear you and everything. You brought up some very, very valid points, and I appreciate you for talking your truth. And one of the main reasons, first of all, we started off this show without even going into who we are, like our background and any of these things, are really introducing ourselves. And first of all, me, myself, Chetty 650, Che P, I am P2 Square, owner of P2 Square. If you look for me, Google me, whatever, as an artist, that's what I go by. If you want to tag me as that, you can tag me as that. Other than that, you could just call me Chetty. I'm an activist, I'm an artist, revolutionary, but most of all, I live my life to try to make a difference and make an impact. I want to make an impact. When I leave this world, when my body hits this ground and is no more, I want to have either built something, left something, stained something with some type of impression that says that I was here and that I lived as I walked this earth. So that's general about me. I'm a vet. You know what I'm saying? I served in the military, and hoorah to all my Marines out there, as well as my corpsmen, 84 soldiers who actually tote weapons. Don't play with them. But, then with the background with that, I'm an artist down here in Miami, Florida, currently, which is a blessing, out of Tory Lane studio over in Green Top. And I'm blessed to have a beautiful, smart, talented co-host who's going to introduce herself. And she, I believe, is the modern day Ellen DeGenerate for her generation, but black, of course, speaking her truth. And I'm going to let her tell you who she is. Go ahead, tell us who you are, love.
how y'all doing? It's your girl Jigga, my nigga. You know how I figure. So my name is Jigga. That's what I go by. I've been repping the name for a couple years now. I'm a college student, in the making of trying to make things happen. For me, I'm more so a kid with a dream that wants to make it into a reality. Of course, my purpose for me, I believe, is to help my generation to understand that sometimes awakening is important, and it's okay to awaken yourself, and it's okay to learn things, and it's okay to understand that everything is not going to be what you want it to be in that moment, but eventually later on it will happen. So I feel like I'm a spokesperson for people around me, and for those from afar too, that'll be able to relate to things that I go through, that they probably will go through as well, in order for them to grow and succeed. So I'm really into painting a picture for me to help people move to the next level.
That's what it is. And I'm glad you said that, because you kind of was like making tracks into our next portion, which is to actually talk about what this podcast and what this live stream is all about. And that is basically saying, without saying, that most of our discussions on this podcast answer answer the whys and some of the why nots and what's going on and what are some of the positives and the negatives relating to any topic or subject that we can possibly imagine, or that the streets want to know, or that the people want to know. So that's like number one, and the main basis of this podcast. And then I would like to think that we are the voices of critical thinkers in this hour, with both questions and concerns for the modern day audience as well as society. You know, people want to say things, but a lot of times people don't have the voice to say it, or they don't voice up, or they're scared, or they don't get in front of the microphone like us, you know, and take that stand. So that's another thing. And I want to lastly say, because this podcast, we can go on and talk about what this podcast is about, but this podcast, because of our diversity and the gap between our generation and me being an art in my art form and you being an artist in your art form, we create, I believe we create a transparent atmosphere that we can discuss mutual topics, be confrontational alike, because this is a confrontational show. But in our efforts is to discuss relevant issues with absolute maturity. I mean, can you agree on that? Like, what you
No, I
think?
can 100% agree with everything that you're saying. I feel like it will be very transparent too, as well, from the gaps that we do have. But it's going to create a divine understanding for everyone, and that way we'll get different viewpoints from all audiences, and they'll be able to relate.
Yeah, I want to make that claim that we don't make any claims to be any gurus to have life perfect or have all the answers or anything like that to life's problem. But with reason we say that, or I would say, and speaking for myself rather than for the both of us, that we want to understand that evolution creates change of all types in its proper time and season, as people as a whole develop spiritually, physically, and psychologically. You know, so if we don't talk about anything, we got to talk about the truth, and we got to talk about the real. And so, you know, I think that if we can talk about those things and be honest and hear it from your generation, and then talk about it from my generation, and maybe, who knows, you might be the next voice. You know, we might be speaking across the table because you got 100,000 people behind you and I got 100,000. But the thing is we want to understand one another.
Yeah, truthfully, which I understand that we want to get in the understanding of each other and try to build off and understand, like, where's the flows and what's different between from when you were growing up and, like, what's my present right now in the midst of growing up in this time and everything that's going on, because it is different things that occur. Now we have we have a social media area now. It's very broad in how we influence things and how my generation carries things and how we view. From far as when you were growing up, it was probably much more different, which is two different things that we wouldn't really understand. So that way it's good to get where we get both viewpoints in order to see, like, hey, how was this for you and how this for me, and that way we can make sense of it all.
But you know, the crazy thing is, like, your generation is really dominant in the sense of its creative effects in this world. Like, I stand on the margin being a pillar for that generation because I've seen it all on both sides of the fence, as well as leading the way and pioneering, you know, this whole social media community, because I was a part of the beta phase with the whole Facebook, you know, project and stuff like that when I was in school. So we were part of the test phase, you know, and one of my degree and my studies is in communications and leadership studies, as well with a specific focus in societal mass communications. So the focus is, my goal and my drive is to be able to speak to the people, but to understand the community that the people live in. So your generation, I say, is very dominant, because my generation was a bit submissive and subservient, and we had more of a fight just to get out of the house or be out past the street lights. Your generation, y'all the queen and the kings of the night. You know what I mean? Like, y'all own
We
the
outside.
night. You know, y'all for real, y'all outside. But in a lot of today's adults don't see that in a sense as really being up to any positive good. But I've seen that just from being in the club last night, your generation is the one that's keeping the club jumping. The club promoter is about probably 28, 30, but he's able to draw over 1,000 people And you say 1,000 because you still got people standing outside the club that didn't even get in last night. And I'm watching them shoulder to shoulder from, you know what I'm saying, from my position. But the disconnect. Why is it that there's such a disconnect between a 10-year generation? How do you feel it? Like, you have a father, me and your father, we're friends. That's my brother. You know what I mean? That's my best friend. But what do you say are some of the benefits that you have gotten, or you see your generation has gotten from us, and then you also see some of the things that you could say, that was good, but not good enough. What would you say those things are?
Okay, for me personally, seeing it from my viewpoint and looking like when I'm relatable to my father, the things that I feel like that was good is the fact is y'all more so had more of a, like, not necessarily strict, but y'all had more stuff that was inclined that kept y'all in place. We're so open now that everything is laid out in front of you. Back then, it wasn't more so just laid out in front of you. You had to go find it. Like, you had to go out there and find it. Nowadays, everything's in your face. You get on your phone, you go on Instagram, and right there, boom, it's right there.
It's there.
You don't gotta go looking for anything. It's right in front of your face. So it's like it exposes you to more. That's one thing I will say that is a downfall for our generation, that we're exposed to a lot more.
Well, look, I don't mean to cut you, but listen, let me tell you something. Being an international speaker, right? When I'm up there talking, I gotta know what I'm talking about. You know, your generation, I see them on Google. I could be preaching about, I could say Jesus wept. Google. You know what I'm saying? Jesus wept. Yes, he did wept. Amen. You know what I mean? But the thing is, you guys gonna check the facts. And like you said, everything is right up front. We didn't have that. We had to search. And then we had crazy stuff going on, like our parents or aunties, them trying to hide kids. You know, you had a baby. Just because you went to Georgia and came back, you came with another person. You know, so we had to deal with truths that I think that we're still fighting through in our generation, because I think that it has created a lot of mental issues as well, you know, because I'm an 80s baby, you know, and coming through that, my parents are basically coming from out of the racism that was taking place in Miami when the walls was knocked down. So they were just allowed to go into a school that wasn't segregated. Versus my grandmother, who lived in Overtown, which was the Black Hollywood, the metropolis for Miami, where only the black people could only go when they came to Miami. And I mean, that was the place to be. So she was used to that. And then leaving from over there and being the first black to move into a predominantly white neighborhood on the block, buying the first house, of course, our generation, we're gonna have a mindset like it would be strict, you know, because they fought through so much and it was so much destruction out there that we didn't know, that was just lying around, such as being taken behind buildings and being beat by the police just because we was black. Like, we didn't understand all of that stuff and how deep it was until after Netflix. You know what I'm saying? But that's the real reality that you all have over us. But, you know, I want to say this. Now, in speaking your truth, how do you feel that with this disconnect, we're actually going to get connected? Because, I mean, I have some solutions, but what are some of your youth solutions? When y'all get to talking about us, you know, because y'all talk about us, what are the solutions?
Well, for us mainly, I feel like now the time, I'm not gonna lie, within our generation, we have that that I don't care mentality or attitude, but it's more so like, okay, if they don't want to get us and understand us, it is what it is. I'm just being honest. That's how we think. It's like, it is what it is. You don't want to understand me, I'm not gonna understand you, and we gonna keep it pushing. Because nowadays we're a little more, not a little more mature, I'm not gonna say that, but we are mature for the ages that we carry.
I would agree with you. You all are coming along more mature. You got baby. My 1-year-old uses a tablet. She was 1 year old with a tablet, an iPad. Just got a new iPad at 3. So yeah, you all are mature. You're more advanced. You're more advanced.
Yeah, so the way we see things, we see it as like, okay, Well, at the end of the day, we can't really force anybody to understand us, and it never will be possible. Like, yeah, we can talk about it, we can explain it, and we can try to express it, but since the experiences are so broadly different, it'll never come together in order for people to be like, hey, okay, I get that, or I understand that. Like, for instance, if I'm talking to my father and I'm like, hey, I posted this because of that, because of this is what I knew the audience would like from it. He gonna look at it like, oh, you shouldn't have posted that because of this is how it's gonna look. And back then, we wasn't posting stuff like that. I feel like with the older generation, love to hit us with that term, or we wasn't doing it back then. But I'm like, it's reasons for us doing it now because that's what's presented to us.
Well, it's crazy because, well, let me ask you a question. When did you start to feel that disconnect? Like when you start talking about posting, and because now social media is not limited to a 2-year-old, as I just spoke of, because my niece can literally get on YouTube and find my videos, and my mother-in-law can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, what's going on here with this media? Like, what's really happening? Is it creating the disconnect?
It is. For me to experience, since I'm a flat out 2000 baby. So for me, when I got introduced to the internet, would be, I would say, around like 14. That's when I found out like what Facebook was and was able to get on it and stuff like that. So 14 was when that bridge came in. It was
Okay.
like going into a new
Okay.
place.
Well, it's funny that you should say that because out of the measure, because doing statistics, I'm an analytical person. I love analytics. And out of the measure of America, of the Social Science Research Council, right? 4.1 million young people are classified in America as falling behind. And it's all behind being disconnected. It is said that disconnected youth are teenagers and young adults between the ages of 16 and 24 who are either or neither working nor in school. So that's the definition of the disconnect. Because now when we say disconnect, we're talking about what society says that you should be coming up to pour back in, right? Because your individual growth leads to societal benefits, right? So that's what this margin is saying. And then it goes on to say that they're not working nor in school, and then there are 4,114,500 disconnected youth in America today. About 1 in 9 teens and young adults. That is a 10.7% percentile. That's pretty big. Amongst the largest number ratio is Native Americans, and then next are us. It's blacks. It's 27. We're at about 27.6% or so when it comes down to statistics. Now, the young people are, in a sense, when you look at it, are being cut off. And the reason why they're cut off is because the experiences that they would get or would have to be beneficial to society, in the sense of industrialism, commercialism, tourism, and all these things that help the world to go around, it's being looked at as if they're looked down upon. Now, that alone, I would think would create some resistance if you saying your view is my difference in terms of how you get your money and how you hustle or whatever, because now everything is hustle. You guys don't want to work for nobody.
Because, okay, so here's my argument to that, which I would see why they would say that, but you got to look at it like this. We can get paid off our phones, so a lot of people now, my generation, feel like, why should I have to go to school for something that I could get paid for I could do at the house? I'm going to go to school, get the same education I can learn off Google for free, and I can still get paid for it. Nowadays, I could submit something in. If I get 1 million views, I get almost thousands of dollars, more than what somebody would if they go to school and then they come out, got to wait a year, and then they go into their profession. I'm making more in a minute. So why would I want to go jump into school for something that I can do on my phone?
That's true. Puma, not the shoe. Puma is what the definition is, the acronym, better yet, is public use of microdata in areas. And basically that's the reason why they go about taking census, right? Now, Puma has went out in areas where the U.S. Census Bureau sent them out, and they have where populations of 100,000 people. So, like, if you go into a city like L.A. or Miami or what have you, there's these little invisible marginal lines. You notice when you were coming up in school, we were always taking these little tests, right? these little tests. They would say, oh, it's I think they call it the FCAT now or
Yeah,
whatever, right? So now you're taking these tests. The test isn't really about you. The test is about the other boundaries or the demographics of kids that are growing up in other areas. So say if you grew up in suburbia or if you grew up out of the nine different sectors that may be split up or whatever, it's like saying, I'll be tested over here in Liberty City out of this side. I'll be tested, these children in Little Havana, then these children in Carol City, then all these schools basically on the same level to see what these children learning skills are like. You know what I mean? So now out of that is saying that you're either learning or you're not learning. You know, this particular area or this particular schools, because you have A schools, B schools, and D schools, you know? So now my question is, for you being a young adult and saying that you can make more money in a minute than you basically, than you can sitting in a classroom from all those years, do you see school as beneficial? I mean, did you, at one point in time, did you see school like as being non-beneficial?
I would say it kind of like it's one of those 50-50 things because at one point it was beneficial to me, growing up because all the way up to the age of 14, that's all we knew was school. We didn't have much social media because 2000 babies 2000, we didn't have Facebook at like 2. We didn't have Instagram at like 3 years old. We didn't get introduced to it to around like 14, 15. So between those areas of those 14 years, it was beneficial. Now, after we got introduced to everything and now that we know that, hey, I can go dance, make a video, and make money, no, I don't think it's beneficial anymore. Honestly, I feel like in certain areas, don't get me wrong, and this is where I say it's a 50-50 because if you want to become a nurse or a doctor and stuff like that, it very much is beneficial. Go get that degree because you will need it to go use that because you want to learn those things. But I would say for most people, like say, hey, like right now, we're on the mic, right? I wouldn't have to go to school for this anymore. I can learn this in the comfort of my home. I can buy me a little set just like this in my room, go to YouTube, learn, and I can do this and still make money for it. So in certain areas, it isn't beneficial anymore if I could do it myself.
That's true. So do you say that it's just a matter of views? Because if it's saying that, it's almost like, well, we saying we could do this in less time, and you saying we got to do this. You know, is it a matter of views? Like, do you when you start saying, like, when we start talking about what the disconnect is it just all a matter of views in the sense of how I spend my time, what I do, and who I do it with? I mean, does it boil down to that with the younger generation?
Yeah, it kind of does. Because majority of the time, say if you sit in a classroom, right? If I'm in a classroom for about 2 hours, you get 7 of them, throughout the day if you're like in middle school and high school. I'm spending 2 hours to sit here and listen to somebody tell me something that I could go learn in about 20 minutes. Or I can learn from someone else that's already learned it. I can go pick up the information from them and then go on about my business with it in less time. Like now, for instance, I'm in college. So when I do go into the classroom and I'm sitting in the college classroom, and mind you, I'm a broadcast journalism major, right? So we're supposed to be learning about stuff like this. If I'm sitting in the classroom watching a video about something that I never seen before that's about in the 70s for like an hour and a half, I feel like that's wasting my time. When you could be taking me into the studio to learn that stuff hands-on so that way when I go out of school, I'm equipped with everything. But nowadays, when you in school, it's kind of like I gotta learn, I gotta do it myself anyway. This is something that I have to go out there and I have to put the work in by myself anyway. So why am I wasting my time sitting in the classroom for you not to be hands on with me? You telling me stuff, but we ain't hands on doing nothing.
Well, that's what it is. That's what it is. You hearing it live and direct. And once again, this is Walkie Talk-It. Walk it like I talk it, and we gonna speak it like we say it. And this is our truth. And I'm with my girl Jigga, my nigga, for sure. Listen, we gonna wrap it up because what I want to dive into the next show with you is talking about some of these beneficial effects and beneficial factors because, like, you're right, technology. You guys are interested in technology. There's a machine in a sense that's going on within you by itself, and it's like, from my opinion, my view, it's like you're just looking to be plugged in. Like, plug me in, put me in the game, coach. Forget, like, I'll practice with you if you promise to put me in. Is that it?
That's exactly what it is. I want to be forefront in the center. I don't want to be on the bench waiting. What am I waiting for when I can be out there playing and I can go get this touchdown? If you know I can catch the ball, why you got me on the bench?
Yo, I for real, like, I had a problem with practice too, but I think that's one of the issues. That's another issue we're going to talk about, practice. Because look. I don't want to get on Travis Scott, but, and then you had the baby, right? Down in Miami, right? Experience, right? Experience. Nobody told them how to handle this situation, how they was gonna have to handle this. Nobody, you know, when all of this hit, I'm quite sure, like, being an artist, a young artist, accountability is something that they learned out of this experience. You get what I'm saying? So, like, in some aspects, I say go fast, because I went fast. I jumped off the porch early. And I was described like, you know, my uncles always said I'm one of the hungriest kids they've ever seen, and it hasn't stopped, because I'm always doing something or trying to inspire somebody to do something with me. But the experience along the way has whooped me, but it's also worked me, you know? So I think that there is some work involved, in a sense where we're not gonna always get anything instantly. But I think that my generation just, it's hard to see that things can happen quickly. And we're supposed to be the one inspiring you all with hope. And it seems like y'all have more hope than we have, in the sense where if y'all set your mind to it, there's no changing you. You know? What you think?
And that's exactly how it is, honestly, because, like, for me, I feel like I should be able to just jump out there. Like, me and one of my professors, we had a debate. We was talking, and he had us watching, it was like some newspaper stuff. We was watching some newspaper stuff, and I was like, so why are we watching this? I asked him, I was like, why are we watching this? He was like, just so you can understand the involvement of how this all went. But I was like, we've been understanding the involvement all week. When we gonna get to the actual real work? And I told him that. I'm like, we gonna get to the real work. We've been evolving all week. So it's about time for us to go out there and get our hands dirty, because I feel like, for me, it's like, I gotta bump my head. Like, sometimes you gotta allow people to bump their head.
Yes.
Let me go for it. Yeah. If I don't ever bump my head, I'm gonna feel like it's always a safe space. I'm gonna feel like that, okay, I got time. I got time. And sometimes you don't got that.
Time can be dangerous, because you never know what side of the timeline you're on, you know, or where you are in the grid. You could be off the clock and not even know it, because the clock never stops. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. And yo, it's been real talking to you all. Tune in for the next series, or better yet, the next segment of Walkie Talk-iT with my girl Jigga.
Yo, you already know what to do. Y'all see me back next time. It's your girl Jigga, my nigga. How you feeling? We like that, and we
It's
out.
your boy Chetty, P2 Square.